Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Maggie Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee
requires balance. Hi guys, welcome back to Work-Life Balance with Kara and Maggie.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's been a minute. So we were kind of figuring out like different topics, and we thought there is one thing that is blatantly obvious between the two of us.
Not blatantly obvious. Don't be like that.
We thought, since I've been in business since, what year? 2003?
I don't know.
2? 2003, I believe, right out of college. And you're 2022. Mm-hmm. That's quite a difference. So we thought, hey, let's talk about what it looked like then versus what it looks like now, right?
Yes, I'm so excited to hear about all of this because we have so many technological advances that have happened in the last 20 years that really help us in our job. So
yeah.
What do you think the biggest difference is, though? There's some specific questions I want to ask, but what do you think is the biggest change that's happened?
Probably the way that the contracts are dealt with. Before, it was like everything was pen and paper. I mean, we did slowly get DocuSign coming in, and that was there, but it wasn't like it is now, where you never really even have to meet somebody face to face to explain anything, right? So the education that came along with real estate back then was heavily focused on the contract. Yeah. So I bet if I quizzed you and said, hey, what's line 520 look like? You'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
No, not just random numbers like that.
I know.
You don't have to go through it anymore.
You just don't have to go through it. Like, we had to come through it and sit down with the client and legit like every single
line. Yeah.
Which was overwhelming and so nerve-wracking as a new agent. And
That's a lot to take in.
It's a lot. And so we spent a lot of time in education classes. Yeah. So I started with a huge firm, PMZ, and they came up with a PMZ University. So I think it was like every Tuesday or Wednesday, you'd go in there and you'd spend an hour or two or whatever. And he would just go over literally Section 14. So you knew time frames.
Yeah.
Like I could recite Section 14 to you. It was the time frame section. How many days you had. I mean, everything was so specific that, you felt confident, which I think was the end goal on that, is to be able to go in that meeting and feel confident with your contract.
Do you think the contract has changed, or has it stayed pretty basic?
It changes every year because the attorneys take control. Yeah. I mean, the California contract versus the Tennessee is quite different. As far as definitely time frames.
I guess it's a hard question to ask because you haven't seen both at that time.
I think every year the attorneys take control of it and they add things that protect your buyers and your sellers more and protect the agents more. So, it's definitely changing. But you get to just pop in, fill in the blanks, sit it on a DocuSign or whatever, and it's like, sign here.
Yes.
Which,
not to say I have not read through it. I know the things that are in there, okay? But no, I don't know. Line 572, Section 18B. No.
I know.
It's right off the top of my head. But I guess you got quizzed on it, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
no, it was
you were being asked.
It was legit.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, and because it was so face-to-face.
Yeah.
That when you're sitting in front of somebody, especially somebody like you that's so inquisitive, could you imagine if you were my client?
Oh,
you'd be like, can you tell me exactly what that means?
Yeah, I know.
mean, that's how it was.
And there's a lot of clients that are like that like they really want to know every single thing, and can't blame them. Obviously, it's their right to know, and they should.
Yeah,
but, they will ask in-depth questions,
and you kind of are put on the spot. And so I think that's something that you have to protect yourself with this new age of everything just being shot over, that you're really making sure your clients know what they're signing.
Absolutely.
Because
we've run into that a few times.
Correct. Yeah, you should share that example with your family member.
I know. Even just a few days ago, too, like there were some things in a contract that we were, and actually 2 or 3 times in the past couple of months, we've actually been reading through it, and there's things that we're like, okay, no, this is not going to work. This is not going to happen.
New construction ones, yep. Those are sneaky.
They are, because they're so long.
Mm-hmm.
So long, so hard to read.
Yeah.
So people don't want to do that. Can't blame them for that either. Okay, while we're talking about face-to-face, the number one question I wanted to ask you is, negotiations happen over the phone now. Like, I have not had to argue with another agent in person, but you, I'm guessing, had to if everything was on pen and paper.
Yeah, I mean, it still was definitely over the phone too, but like, Okay, so this is a huge difference between going back to your DocuSign and how it was then. Is so let's say we write up a contract. I am physically getting in my car with that hard copy of that contract and hand delivering it to the agent. So it was definitely okay. And then most of the time the agent would go over right in front of you and take a peek at it and be like, okay, that's like ridiculously a low ball. Like, you're lucky if I'm going to respond to that, right? Yeah. So
it kind of forces them to respond though if they're right in front of you.
Yeah, it's like, no, you already acknowledged it. You acknowledged your receipt. You better respond.
Yeah.
So that was definitely, I think it was a good thing, like that there was more, because half the agents we've worked with, we've never even seen in person.
No, never.
You know, and actually a lot of the clients I know you have because of the buyers, but I'm seeing them for the first time at the closing table and I'm like, that's not how I visualized.
Yeah, no.
You know, so I think the personal touch has been lost over the 2 decades I've been in it in those senses. Like,
yeah, but also like you've grown a team now, so you're doing multiple things, so it's a lot harder for you to be hands-on with every single person.
Right.
And you just have to delegate, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm learning how to delegate.
Yeah, you are.
So, yeah. So I would say that's thank you. I would say that's the biggest, like, well, I don't know. There's more things that have on my little whiteboard over there that you're going to be shocked about. But the contract is definitely that was more hands-on.
Okay. And then you had to take it back to your office and scan all the documents one by one and then fax them in. Yeah.
Do you even know what a fax machine?
Yes, I do. I do know what a fax machine is.
But have you used one really, like, ever? Like, probably not.
I've never used one, but my parents used them. Like, they had a business when I was growing up, so they used that, but...
Totally. We would be in the office.
Nothing like that.
No. We'd be in
the... You had pager, didn't you?
Heck yeah, 143.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you'd be waiting in line. You probably don't know what that means.
Yes, I do.
See what I mean? Generational.
I love you. Right? Yes, I do. Come on.
I love you.
Give me some credit. Okay.
But yeah, you'd be waiting in line to fax your counter offer over.
I would be
crazy.
Going crazy.
You would go crazy because you're so fast on that computer. And I would say that is something that I learned from you daily, watching you, even on Real Tracks.
Yeah.
Holy cow, you figured that out like so fast that you go through it so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I've had practices. I was like looking at Zillow and searching for houses and stuff just for fun, like growing up. I mean, I don't know.
You're just, I think
easy to work.
It's the technology though.
For sure.
You've got that 10 times over my generation.
And I'm really not even that good at it. Like some people that I know are 10 times better than I am. You would be amazed.
Yeah. I mean, just recently we put together, or she did, a presentation package for some property we have, a pocket listing in the office. And within like 5 minutes, she's got this beautiful presentation with, the attached drone video and all the good stuff and all the, links to the Real Tracks. And Micah, the other agent in the office, and I are going, holy cow, how do I send that to our clients? We're like, it's like...
Kara,
shit.
There was a play button on the video, and Kara said you have to press play at the top.
I do. I'm like, speak to people like me that are not as technology savvy.
I guess that's what I did all through college, though. I wouldn't do, this is probably bad to say, but I wouldn't do any of the work until the day of, and then I would just crank it out. So
under pressure.
I got good at just, going quick and getting it done kind of thing.
You're fast.
But anyway, that's totally off topic.
That's
you have appraisal written on here, so I'm curious as to what's changed with appraisals.
Appraisals were super different back then.
Okay.
You could actually choose your appraiser. So that was a lot of probably the pricing issues that we saw.
I was about to say, that sounds like a huge problem.
Yeah. So I had a good friend that was an appraiser. And so whenever I got, a buyer or listing, whatever I needed to order the appraisal on, I would just give him a call and say, hey, run out and give me this value on this house. All right, writes up the report. I mean, and I think this is all stuff that catapulted 08 because we were so laxed in so many different areas, appraisals being one of them.
Yeah.
Like now.
You could just tell him, hey, we got an offer for this amount. Go tell me if it's worth that. And he's going to just be like, oh, yeah. And then find stuff to support that.
100%. Yeah. Yep. I mean, it was just appraisers, lenders, and agents worked really tight together at that time where we didn't want the deals to fall through. So we made them work. And you had that accessibility.
Yeah.
So that was huge. Now you don't have access to the appraisers at all. It's a third party that the lender chooses, and half the time they don't even know what which appraiser is going to go out there. So that was a big deal.
So speaking of that, did lenders have a lot more control back then too about what happened with each loan? Like, sometimes now, like, underwriters will come back and say, okay, no, we can't approve this or whatever the case may be.
The guidelines are so strict now, yeah.
Yeah, so it was more lax in that area, too.
Yeah. There was they called it robo-banking, where you just, like, were putting in applications and getting acceptance.
Yeah.
They weren't really checking what your background looked like. I mean, it all goes down to what happened when we fell through. It was just, and now...
Why it's so strict now.
It's like they went the opposite direction, right? So now it's like, shit, I can't even get a loan. It's so difficult, right? Yeah. So, it's completely flip-flopped. So I've seen both sides of it, which is kind of fun for me to be able to see how it's changed.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like we need to find somewhere kind of in the middle, not super lazy or lax, but not so strict, where people can still get loans.
Yeah, it's tough now for people, which is disheartening. But that's crazy about appraisals, though. Could you imagine? Just, oh my gosh!
Hey, I need a 550 appraisal.
Just the more I think about it, the more bad it sounds.
Yeah. I know there's been one time here that I was able to reach out to an appraiser because I was challenging it.
Okay.
And that was the only time I've ever been able to actually talk to an appraiser. And it reminded me of those days. Mm-hmm. Okay,
were you on the selling side or the buying side?
I was on the seller side.
Okay.
And I needed to get it to appraise. So I was able to get his contact. Mm-hmm. I reached out and he was like, okay, send me what you got for your supporting comps. I'll put him to play. He didn't. He got me $5,000 closer. Okay. So there was still a $5,000 gap, which annoys me. But
at least it wasn't 10.
Correct. Yeah. So we were just about there. But that's the closest I've gotten to actually having control with an appraiser since before.
So what happened? Did y'all negotiate down, or
we settled with $5,000? Okay. Yeah, and just that was a new purchase price.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if the buyers were going to come up.
Or not. They weren't moving. They weren't budging.
No. And that's a hard situation to be in, but. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been on the buyer side a lot more than I've been on the seller side, and I've never even had contacts with an appraiser.
No. And you're not supposed to.
No.
I mean, that's a lender contact.
And they have minimal with them, too. Just, hey, when are you going to set this appointment? Can you go out here at this time?
Right.
So, okay, what about title companies? How is that different?
So, title companies were like your BFFs back in the day. So... This is kind of funny.
But why, though?
So they really, really did the personal touch. Like, you would have, so you know how we have a great relationship with Shane and April? Imagine them in your office like once a week whining and dining you. And I'm talking taking you out, full tab open, bars, restaurants, San Francisco. That's what they had, a huge expense account, and were able to do, I guess you would call them kind of kickbacks at a point. So our relationships with our title companies were really close. Yeah. So, which brings
they were whining and dining
They were, and then they stopped that where they could not pay for realtors stuff. So if you, like after that.
Legally or just
legally,
like within themselves?
Okay. Legally. So then they stopped, and it was like, we would go out to lunch and it would always be on their tab. Then it changed to, we can go out to lunch, but now we have to split the tab or whatever. Yeah. So they took away a lot of their expense accounts. And I think, there was so much shit going down.
Okay, but...
Let your mind go wild with how close these title agents got with the men in the office.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a lot. And that's what I was exposed to right off the bat in real estate. Like a lot of affairs going on.
And that's just a toxic place to be in.
It was crazy.
Because you have a long-term relationship. Yes. Like, you're not out there trying to sleep with a bunch of people.
No, and the good thing is they were all beautiful women. Yeah. There are not many men coming in and so I made a lot of great friends.
Yeah.
Because we'd go out and whatever. Even when it changed the dynamic where I'd pay for myself, we still were good friends. Yeah. A couple of them were at my wedding.
It's crazy.
They became really good friends, but it was the ones that took it too far for business. Mm-hmm. And then we're creating some issues in the office, sexual issues in the office.
But that's crazy, though. Because now just thinking back about that, we have a close relationship with our title company, but not like that. Like, we're not going out to eat every week. We're not even really... We talk to them on the phone every now and then, but we really don't even have much communication with them other than, hey, here's the contract. Okay, see you at closing day.
Mm-hmm. No. Well, they offered a lot of tools also that came along with it that I don't know if ours do. But so for an example, you want to farm West Haven. Just use that. And you know what I mean by farm it?
Yes.
So you could call your title company and say, I need addresses to every single person with the postcard sticker. And then you could just go pick it up from them, or they'd actually bring it to you, put it on all of your marketing, and send it out, or they would send it out for you.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, I want to farm West Haven. They'd farm it for you. So there's a lot of like pros to having a relationship with them.
So they were doing much more than just doing your basic title company work.
They were part of your team in a sense. They were helping you get and gain business. So they would come in and bring, the generic calendars or, like sticky notes or whatever so you could advertise, or they come sit on your open houses a lot. Just like a lender would.
Yeah.
And they were just really supporting, which was nice, until it wasn't, until the lines got blurred.
Screwed up everything in your office because two people were sleeping together kind of thing.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Okay, title company, step up your game. Not in that kind of way, but like we want to be wined and dined. You can get a lot for some wine and cheese, okay?
Yes, please and thank you. But shout out to Mo for bringing me chocolate yesterday.
Yes, that was so sweet. That was really sweet.
So yeah, the title company, those were just different times.
Yeah.
It was just definitely different times. And then the other thing I have on there, I guess goes back to like showing property.
That's what I was going to ask you about too, so we'll talk about that next.
So how easy is it for you to show property? I mean, and get your maps on you, and if...
Super easy.
It is. And like...
I don't even think about it. I'll just go to the listing and it has a blue highlighted address. You just click it and you go.
Right. So, and what happens if you decide you're skipping that one and you're going to a different one, or you're adding one in? Well, we didn't have the Google Maps access like you do now, 20 years ago. So everything was printed on paper. Yeah. So I was like driving, like take a left at the stop sign, trying to thumb through and you got people following you. They're, your buyers are following you, and you're like, this is shit.
Okay, but what did you have at that point, like phone wise? Did you have like a BlackBerry? Is that what you were working with, or did you have the iPhone? Were you the cool mom?
Well, I think I had the iPhone. Did I have a BlackBerry? Was that the first one?
I think the BlackBerry was first. That was like early 2000s, and then iPhone came after that. Or I think it came at the same time. So you may have had the iPhone. But did it have maps on it at that point? No.
I don't think so, girl.
So if you were wanting to add something in, how did you even know the address? And like see the photos and stuff? Because on the BlackBerry, you have the internet, but you're not seeing photos on.
No, I mean, you could get on no. Yeah, no. Everything was hard
copied.
So
you couldn't add one in?
No.
Yeah. So what? You just couldn't do that.
I guess not. I mean, that just wasn't the way it was back then.
You know how much we do that now?
I know, and that's kind of old school when I tell you print a copy and give it to your buyer.
Yeah,
it's totally old school because they can
people
just
like that though.
I think so. I mean, I like to just open the newspaper. I like the feel of paper, but I mean that's how it was. It was like here's your contract and here's your listing and here's mine, and let's go through it as we're walking the house.
Yeah, that's so, it's so different, which it's really not. I feel like as far as like showing a house goes and how you're walking through has kind of been the same.
Yeah.
Especially because I do kind of what you did and just take the papers anyway. It gives us something to hold on to because there's a lot of like little awkward moments when you're showing a house where you're like unlocking the door, turning on the lights, especially if you're seeing multiple. So if they have something in their hands to look at while you're doing that, it makes your time way easier.
It's a little distracting for them.
So I don't know if that's changed.
Well, and they can look, because they always ask what year it's built. So then it's at their fingertips and they can see all that. So
I feel like when you're we've had this conversation, when you're looking at your phone, you seem way more distracted than if you're looking at a piece of paper.
Yes, because don't you think they're maybe questioning that you're texting or you're looking at Instagram? Absolutely. I mean, I always feel a little insecure, like, okay, no, I'm actually really looking at the house right now. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, things happen. Like, you might get a text message while you're looking at it. Like, what happens if you're showing somebody something on your phone and you get a text message or whatever? Like, you're having to, like, slide up. Like, not even like that. Like, okay, TSA, that's never happened. This
don't
is just
do that.
But if you're showing them something on your phone, like, you don't always want them to be on your phone for one. But you just seem way more distracted, and having paper gives you something tangible to, bond over, I guess.
I agree. Well, and I think, like, and that comes back, too, with, like, disclosures back in the day. It was all meet in person and go through each one. So it's just that I guess it really comes down to paper and technology.
Yeah.
Those are really the biggest differences between 20 years ago and now.
Okay, so what did the MLS look like? Because now we have RealTracs. You can just put all your search parameters in and it shows you a whole bunch of stuff. Thing. But it looks the exact same, like was formatted all the same?
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, I think our RealTracs in California MLS are a little bit different as far as how they look. But yes, I mean, you could put in your search parameters, radius search, map search, same It was very similar.
Okay.
They've improved over the years, but it's not like, oh my God,
Yeah.
black and white photos.
So were the disclosures and everything like that on there already, or did you have to get those from the agent?
Agent.
Yeah. So you were doing so much.
It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
Yeah, that's twice as
It's
much.
a lot
as
of
it is now.
driving to get stuff signed. Disclosure meeting would probably take you at least an hour and a half because California's got about 20 disclosures. We have 4?
Yeah.
So, and every single one to the point of if it's a fire burning stove, one. I mean, they disclose
You'll have a ton.
everything in California.
You have a lot more risk out there than we do here, I feel like.
Maybe. I think everybody's just sue happy in California. So
Yeah,
you got to
very
protect your
true.
ass on all levels.
Very, very
so
true.
You'd have to sit there and go over every disclosure, which took time to learn. I mean,
Very true, yeah.
It was like, oh my God, don't ask me a question about line, whatever, because I don't really know it.
Yeah.
So there was
That's
a lot of those
lot.
moments.
And it's not like if they were asking you a question about it, you were having it in front of you or just like having to think of it off the top of your head.
Right. I'm like, wait, let me read that clause
goodness.
real quick and I'll explain
Yeah.
it to you.
No, that is a ton of driving because if you're showing a bunch of houses for one, that's already a ton of driving in itself. Then you're having to go get the paperwork from her, take it back to your clients, then take it back to her, and then after her sign, go get it from her again.
Or I would do like, okay, you're going to write an offer on this house. Perfect. Follow me back to my office. I'm going to write it up. We would do that a lot because they had to sign it.
Yeah.
Before I could send it out to DocuSign, they had to physically sign it. So they would come to my office. I'd put all the paperwork together, have them sign it. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to drive it over to the agent, or if I faxed it,
Yeah.
but more than likely I was driving it. And I'll be back to you as soon as I get a response. Yeah. You know?
Oh my gosh.
So now I feel like our time is better spent.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Did you feel like there was, I don't know how to phrase this in the best way. Do you feel like there was a lot more urgency with buyers because they knew that, okay, if I like this house, I'm going to have to follow her back to her office and fill out the paperwork? Like, do you feel like there was more of a hesitation to pull the trigger on something because it was so quick? Or do you feel like it was easier to get people to sign contracts because it was like an immediate follow me back to my office and we're going to get this done?
That's a great question because it probably was a little bit of both. Like, it put them on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, time is of essence. It always is in real estate. And if you don't follow me back to the office, I'm going to go back, prepare it, and then you and I are going to have to meet at Starbucks later in the day, or you're going to have to come to the office tomorrow, or whatever it might work. And we may now at this point either miss a deadline or be late for the offer and miss it. So I think it did create a little bit of urgency. I think, like, for example, last night with Amber's offer, and it was literally $450 and the offer was due at 5. For me to help her and be able to write that offer and submit it within 10 minutes, that is tenfold. Like, oh my gosh, I would have never been able to do that 20 years ago.
Never.
There would have been no option.
You would have just missed out.
We would have missed out, you know? And so I think the technology has just catapulted the chance that we have to get these offers accepted or at least presented.
Absolutely. I feel like, too, people probably started looking a little more seriously whenever they were looking at houses. Rather, now they can just go online and schedule an appointment on Zillow to go see whatever house they want to see, and somebody will pick it up and show it to them.
I agree on that for sure.
So you don't have people wasting your time as much back then.
No, and I never did Zillow back there then, so I don't know if Zillow was such a presence as it is now. I kind of feel like it probably wasn't because I don't even remember it being a thing, to tell you the truth.
No. I mean, even when I was growing up, my dad was actually like going to the real estate office if he was like needing stuff.
Yeah.
Up to like when I was 10 years old or so. So I don't think Zillow was that prevalent. You could probably see, but I don't know, as far as scheduling showings and meeting somebody over the phone like that. That,
and the other thing was we did a lot of office time where people actually called the office phone. And so it was like, oh, they just drove by a listing, a sign. They would call the office instead of calling the listing agent, and then whoever was on floor got that appointment. So that was kind of a nice thing. But that, again, I have an office phone here, but
it rings on your cell phone.
Yeah, it's like, and it doesn't even ring. I mean, do people call a landline much?
No, they call your cell phone.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted to ask you too. Back then, were you giving out your cell phone, or if you were actually having to have office time and going somewhere, did you have an office phone with like an extension or something that they were calling?
If you were doing office time, you had to be behind the front desk. You had no option. There was no giving you to transfer anything. And if you weren't willing to do it, the next person was willing to do it. So you had to put in and I think they were like 2-hour blocks, 2 or 3 hour, and you literally sat behind the office. But you would get also walk-in traffic because people actually, like you said, went to the office. And checked in. Hey, I'm coming to the office. What do you have? Do you have a hot sheet?
Lets you show face a little more.
Yes. So kind of like how we do our hot sheet out in the front. And again, maybe that's an old school mentality that I thought about when we did that.
But it grabs people's attention.
Yeah, stop by. You know, come by. See our face. We'll give you the new listings in the neighborhood. I just like that.
I do too.
And I think you kind of are too. You're old school. You love pick up the phone, don't text me.
Yeah, no, I hate texting. Everything gets so misconstrued if you text.
Most people aren't like that, babe.
No. If Kara's like, okay, O, and then K,
then she's like, how do I read that? Is she mad at me?
I'm like, is she pissed about something? I'm just like, what are we dealing with today? You know,
I'm just juggling something else. Or,
Kara's just like, okay, that's fine.
Just do it. Take care of it.
But still, like, and then that's kind of what Angela was saying. We talk about her a lot, but that's kind of what she was saying about using Marco Polo and sending video messages, because it just gets your point across way better when people can actually see your face, hear your voice, know what expression and what kind of tone you have, because that says everything.
Maybe we should start doing that.
Maybe we should.
I
use Snapchat all the time.
You do?
That's like my main communication with my friends. I'll send Snapchat videos, like Snapchat pictures, like so
that's whatever. Like your way of texting them.
Yeah, I don't text my friends.
You don't?
No, we Snapchat.
Okay.
I rarely text. Unless I'm like actually like, hey, do you want to go do this right now kind of thing? We Snapchat. We don't text.
That's another good point of differences is how we market stuff today now too.
Very true.
Because there was no Snapchat.
So what did you do? I know you wore the name tags.
The name tag. I still got to get Maggie a name tag.
Yeah. She still hasn't done that. This is the
going
second
to
time
get you a
we've
name
mentioned
tag.
it.
Okay, so name tag. Yeah, I know. Generic as they all get. Kara
I can see Kara's like with a star or something on it, like so bedazzled around the edge.
It was so stupid. But it was a way to like advertise yourself without having to say I'm a realtor. So that was definitely different. Back to what I said earlier with farming. So what Amber's doing a lot of with postcards, that's what we did back then. Okay. Was send out mailers. What has sold in your neighborhood? What is the active or what's happening in your neighborhood? Kind of those things. It was definitely more mailer stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Did it work though?
Door knocking, like what you like to do.
Okay. I mean, that's just, because I don't know even now if postcards work. I feel like they work in older neighborhoods. If you're going somewhere where people have owned their house for 50 years and they still go to their mailbox and check their mail every day and actually read what they get rather than just seeing it and tossing it.
I mean, to be honest, I get mailers and I toss them.
Me too.
So
I don't waste my money.
I think there's better ways to do it. I think free marketing on social media has done great for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just,
I want to look into the Facebook ads too, because that's what Danielle was saying that like kind of catapulted her business. Yeah. Even though that was like an online shop, but I wonder how that would work.
Well, when we did Promo Bloom, that was Facebook ads. So, I mean, you just pay for, I think, a certain amount, and then that's how many they send out.
Okay.
But yeah, I think social media, we just didn't have that. That wasn't an option. So everything was hard copy. But yeah, mailers are not cheap. A stamp is not cheap anymore.
No.
What is
They're
it?
what, 65 cents or something?
Or 55 or 60. Yeah.
Something like that.
That's expensive. Okay, so two cost you $1 and you got to farm at least 100 houses. $50 in that, I would rather put that towards something a little bit more.
Because if you're not farming more than 100 houses, then what's the point of doing it? Because your odds are just not there if you're only doing 15, 20 houses.
And I think what you do with the door knocking would be 10 times what it would be to send a random mailer, because you've had really good response from that.
Yeah. I mean, there is some people that will slam the door in your face and they don't want you there.
Yeah.
But those people are just unhappy in general. But I've met some really nice people, and whether it panned out or not, like I've said this before, but I've had people invite me in their house and
you had like
give me coffee,
beer or coffee.
That's how I sold a house. He drank a beer. Ken, the first time I met Ken, he drank a beer with me on his front porch.
Oh my God, I love that.
The only reason I did that too, I wouldn't have done that typically, but it was the last house, and I was like, well, fuck it, it's either this or we lose it, and then it ended up working out. So
then she brought us a sell right there. That was a big sell for you.
Yeah, I mean that was insane, but it works. But
I think getting back to the grassroots, I mean, the market's changed drastically, and I think you do have to bring it back to the basics a little bit. And with the market changing, and obviously it has kind of gotten crazy lately with like losing deals. There's so many multiple offers again, and I think if we just kind of remember what it looks like before, and that it's not going to just fall in our lap, and we have to go the extra mile, whatever it might be, we're going to have to probably start practicing that a little bit more.
Yeah, I
to get these offers in front of them. So,
and sending in like letters with our offers and stuff like that. We've had to do that recently.
Yeah, well, my sisters that we just didn't get, they said, do not send me a letter.
Yeah, it was in bold at the very top. It said, do not send a personal letter with this offer.
Now, that was the thing back in the day we always said.
Yeah.
The family with the cute dog. You know, and you just sent it.
It's
and then
an emotional tie into it.
It does.
Which going back to postcards just really quick before we wrap it up, I think that's one thing that I think it's not worth wasting your money on because it's not personal. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't know you. Social media, you're going to be talking to people that already know you and that are already in your sphere.
True.
Or, like, see you and know who you are. When a postcard, like, they have no idea who you are. You're just a random person to them. So,
yeah, it's
not personal at all. So, the likelihood of you getting that sale is low.
And you're right. You may take that money and put it into a Facebook ad where they're actually seeing you and your family and your listings and your buyers and make it, like, more personal. So, I totally understand that. Anyways, 20 years ago to now.
So educational. Oh my gosh. I didn't know about
do you think
appraisal or the title companies, sleeping together? That was insane.
I know. I have way more stories, but I don't know if they're appropriate.
You keep saying that, but you don't tell them.
I know.
We need to have a Kara Tells All episode.
Storytelling episode.
Yes.
So which way would you think you would like it better? Like the old school pen and paper, super personal, or the now where everything is technology based and super quick and fast?
I don't know. I feel like that goes both ways because I do like how back then you did have that urgency, like, okay, we need to do this, and it's more personal. You're bringing people in where now it's all over at the computer, but it's much quicker that way, and I like to be quick, so I think that I like it this way better. And I'm good on the computer, so.
You are good on the computer.
Finding stuff and being able to add, like last night is a great example. I added 3 houses when we were only going to see one. Mm-hmm. If I wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have been able to do it, and if that second house that we added would have been the one that they wanted, then we would have had to waste all this time. We could have lost out,
absolutely,
etc. They didn't choose any, but that's beside the point.
But it's easy for you to add it and easy for you to map it and get to the next location without having like, shit, where's the printer? I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, no. And a lot of times, like, we cover a very large area in Middle Tennessee. So sometimes I don't always know where that street is. I mean, in Murfreesboro and Franklin, I know my way around. But some of these smaller towns that I haven't been to as much, I don't know my way around. I would get lost so easy.
Well, even in Franklin, I mean, you think it's a small town, but it's actually extremely large. And so there's no way you could just wing it.
Going out there in leapers and stuff, you would get lost quick.
Yeah.
No. Well, thanks for sharing all of your wealth of knowledge.
I love you. Sorry. I mean, now I'm learning to be technology based, kind of.
Do you like it better now or then?
I like the accessibility of it now. That I don't have to do everything. Like, it was just a lot. I felt like it was a lot.
Yeah, you can sell a house over FaceTime to your
California
gals.
Yeah, multiple of those last year. Yeah, you can sell a house over FaceTime. I mean, there's just so many different things that give you the advantage to make the deal work. So, yeah, I'm with it.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Till next time.
Like, share, all that good stuff.
Yeah. See ya.
Insurance should never be a hurdle when purchasing a home. It's one of the most important purchases of your life and should be handled with proper care.
Whether that be your first home purchase or the next addition to your portfolio. Reach out to the Sally Insurance Agency with Shelter Insurance for a free consultation so you're confident that you are protected when it matters the most.
Call Shay and Sally at 865-671-6451.